You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Under the Dome After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Under the Dome After Show.
Hello, Under the Dome fans. How you doing? Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. We're talking about Under the Dome, Season 2, Episode 5, Reconciliation. I'm Matt Lieberman, and joining me as always, Jackie Borowski's here.
Holla.
Carrie Long is here. Amanda Fields, hopefully will be back next week.
I think she's still on her honeymoon.
That's the longest honeymoon.
She's in recuperation right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, I mean, 3 weeks of honeymoon would definitely put you into
She's resting.
mild coma.
Yeah. She has to get her energy back.
All right, so
Wait, can I say what my favorite line is this whole episode?
Yes.
Julia says, "This is crazy," and Barbie says, "This is just par for the course for Chester's Mill."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how I feel about this episode.
I wonder if it's the writers acknowledging that yes, indeed, this is what's happening.
They
with the show.
are self-referential all the time. I feel.
I like that though. If
Yeah?
you're going to have silly things happen, at least acknowledge that you're doing it.
At least acknowledge that it's super silly.
Own it.
So yeah, this was an episode of Under the Dome. I would like to bring our attention to something that Jackie found, a review of the show that Jackie found on TV.com. And they have a list of all of the things that happened so it's episode 205. Now, the first season, every episode was a day. So at the beginning of season 2, we were about 12 days into being under the dome. I'm pretty sure it's been the same kind of progression, but everyone still acts like it's only been 2 weeks. So in roughly 2 weeks, the following has happened in Chester's Mill. The dome came down. A fire burned that house down and stopped everything in town. There was a meningitis outbreak. The military launched a huge bomb at the dome. There was a water shortage. There was another water shortage. A large underground fighting league started in the abandoned cement factory. Joe almost had sex with Nori against the dome. Several manhunts occurred. Food supplies were depleted. The dome went all black. Magnet Dome! The great caterpillar plague of 2013 or whenever this show takes place. And there was almost a man-made swine flu epidemic, and an axe murderer terrorized the populace. And now we can add on top of that, sheriff kills an innocent man, and then sheriff blows up food, but then saves food, and then it turns out there's way more food in a house because no one ever checked. The show.
We can also add secret passageways in lockers.
Secret passageways inside of a locker into a magical.
It's like Narnia.
Exactly. It's like the wardrobe in Narnia, and we have a killer on the loose who has a scratched up shoulder that no one ever looks for.
What?
Yeah. And he got his nephew drunk and tried to
tried to kill him.
Tried to
but
kill
then
him.
decided better of it.
No, and we'll get to that scene because it's one of the best scenes in the whole history of this entire show.
If you don't follow Alex Koch on Facebook, you should, because I love his little caption shout outs.
Yeah.
And one of them was, "Did you think that Uncle Sam really would kill Junior?" And I'm like, this show, like, before I even watched the episode, because I could see what was on his Facebook, I saw that and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then I watched the episode and I was like, what is going
on? Mm-hmm. So we start this episode with the kids, our
heroes.
Yeah, our heroes, or just the dumbest kids. Nori and Joe are just standing over Melanie as she sleeps, leering at her, because apparently she was moaning while she slept. Nothing suspect here. She's apparently having nightmares about the night she died, because they cut right from that clip of her getting pushed right to her waking up. And she's still feeling weird that she's alive now and not dead like she was for, 30 years?
Yeah.
35 years?
She's sleeping it off.
Yeah. It's very jarring to be, or not 35, 25 years. My mistake. 25 years. It would be crazy. It would not be crazy at all.
Math doesn't apply to the dome. Yeah. It doesn't apply.
So, they're trying to help her feel better about herself, but it's just not happening. Meanwhile, Julia and Barbie have their kind of sort of reconciliation. He comes back to the house after not being allowed in the night before.
I like how he also doesn't really address that.
No,
she's
not
just
one
like,
bit.
she's just like, oh, I was up studying with Sam or whatever they were doing.
Yeah, no, it's like, where's Sam? Oh, he just left.
We were just working.
What?
Yeah.
We were just working all night together. All right. Well, I got something I need to say. Fine, come inside. I still don't like you for crazy reasons that I didn't discuss with you at all. I just took on face value the words of people I don't trust because that's how smart I've become under this dome.
It's not his fault. It's the dome's fault.
Yeah.
It's the dome's fault.
So he tells her, first of all, look, I was never going to use the flu. I was just there to keep an eye on Big Jim and Rebecca and make sure that they weren't going to do it. And he said that he was never going to do it. And she's like, I don't believe you. I need to go give them a trial because that's who I am. And so they hire Carolyn to be the lawyer of Big Jim and Rebecca. Carolyn, once again, given nothing to do.
Nope.
It's so sad too because she's a good actress.
She's a great
She's
actress.
back in town. I appreciate that because they haven't used her much up for this season up until this point.
But like she shows up and they ask her to be the lawyer and Nori's like, you're gonna be their lawyer, but he's like so guilty. And she's like, everyone needs a fair trial, honey. Yeah. I guess I better go get my clients.
Everyone under the dome needs a lawyer, honey.
End of usefulness. Later, she shows up just to have eyes and a working brain to connect those dots later on, and then just gets beaten up and taken hostage. In any case,
but not killed off. There is hope.
Not killed off.
I vote for Carolyn to be part of the police force. I mean, she seems to be one of the only reasonable people left here.
Legitimately.
She could go crazy though.
Speaking of the police force, so we have this trial, and who is very much against it and is present, but Phil Bushy, Sheriff Phil Bushy.
Declared by Big Jim to be the best sheriff ever.
But the worst DJ.
Better than Duke, better than him and Linda. Are you insane? Are you literally insane? First of all, he should never have been appointed. He has no credentials. He's not a detective. I remember last episode where he showed up.
You don't want like Casey Kasem to be a town sheriff?
No, okay.
I would prefer Casey Kasem over DJ Phil, Officer
I know.
Man.
Well, do you remember, right, last episode, he just kind of pops up in the middle of all this flu stuff, like actual serious business, and he's like, hey, Jim, I caught those vandals who were graffitiing the bridge or something.
He needs that fatherly figure. He sees it in Big Jim.
But that's my point. He's like solving these dumb crimes, but in a crisis scenario, he's terrible. So,
can we just talk about, though, at the trial, all the background? Did anybody else see that?
I loved our background.
I swear the director's like, all right, let's not pay a background. Everyone's going to grab arms and tug on each other and look like we're fighting.
Yeah, see? Yeah. And everyone's like having a tussle.
Yeah, see?
I felt like I was 13 years old again at like a punk concert.
Yeah,
where the kids are just learning how to mosh pit.
Yeah. And the town has been divided into two distinct camps. Tim, I still like Big Jim no matter what he does, because he's a man. And Team, he was trying to poison us. Doesn't that merit some discussion? I guess I back Julia because she's intelligent. She comes from a newspaper background.
She's really pretty and has boobs.
But then I do like how the person who backed Julia, the supposedly intelligent person, whips out a gun in the middle of the crowd.
Exactly. So again, just the complete inconsistency.
Complete contradiction.
So, of course, Barbie sees a gun, and he does his military thing. And he's like, gun! And he runs, and he tackles him. He tries to get the gun out of his hands. And then Phil just picks up his gun and just shoots the guy. It's effectively the scene from Indiana Jones where the guy's throwing the sword back and forth and then Indy just shoots him. And Phil, he's not Indiana Jones, but he thinks that he is.
He was doing it in self-defense. The man started running, and when people start running,
you have to shoot them.
Did you not see the crowd? They were tussling.
Matt, we live in Chester's Mill. They live in a town in which if there's not enough food, you kill a percentage of the population.
It's almost fried green tomatoes.
Yes.
This barbecue's amazing at the Sweet Bar.
Can I just say, there was a time where we really liked Phil. Do you remember that, Jackie? Last season?
Yes, that was when Dodie died, and we felt bad for Phil. Because
even before that, when they slow danced together, we were like, oh yeah, let's have a romance. They deserve it. But then Dodie died, and he just lost all sense of brains, and he just became an a-hole.
Yes.
Yeah. And I am so glad that he got shot this episode.
We don't know if he's dead, though.
He
got shot in his arm.
I'm praying, because he's just the most useless character. At least Carolyn is smart and isn't given anything to do. He's given plenty to do and is just an idiot.
Do you like how he's the worst sheriff ever, but he's very, very sulky about losing his new sheriff job that I think he's had for about 3 days.
About 3 days. Because it's the most purpose he's ever had and the most responsibility. And it gives him some purpose after the death of Dodie, who I guess was the only thing keeping him from being a raging douche-tard.
Yes.
Okay?
Douche-tard.
Yes.
He literally was driven to drink in this episode.
He really was. He drank and then he snuck into the police station. Once again, the least secure building in town. And just goes to mop up his sorrows on Big Jim. Wasn't I a good sheriff? And he was like, yeah, you were a great sheriff.
You did good.
I mean, you know, I'm not out there, but you can still do the right thing, can't you, Phil? Yeah, I guess so. I guess I could blow up food or, you know. First of all, how does he know anything about explosives?
Well, I mean, we knew that
he has cronies.
We knew that he was. Yeah, where did the cronies come from?
He has a very, haunted past.
He was in that drug ring, so we don't know if being in the drug ring also involved knowledge.
Oh
of
yeah,
explosives.
He's in a drug ring and he's the sheriff of the town. Ridiculous. It's so impossible.
But Big Jim appointed him, and Big Jim was ostensibly part of this drug ring.
And he's corrupt. I get it. In any case. Julia strips him of his rank and title, and she tries to offer it to Barbie. Barbie, who's like, oh, what? You just want to give it to me after everything that's been going on? And, the fact that you doubted me and all this stuff. Rebecca, meanwhile, has told Julia that Barbie never had any part in the flu thing. And Julia's like, she's stunned. She's stunned that Big Jim lied to her about this. Shocker of the century. Ugh.
And they did have a sweet little bonding moment in the bathroom.
I like that.
By the way, but why did she give her 2 inches of paper to dry her hands? And why couldn't Rebecca get her hands washed? It was so Macbeth. She was like, I have water and I'm washing, but the blood's not
very Macbeth because she almost killed the town and she's like washing the blood off her hands.
And then I'll wear my bloody shirt the entire day.
Yeah.
I don't know. It bothered me. Give somebody some paper towel if you're going to offer it to them.
I guess
there isn't enough to go around.
There isn't enough. There's a shortage. There's a
We've got a census of the paper at least.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So Julia is basically, she's taking charge of the town. Not everyone's happy about it. And she's instituting a not mandatory, basically a food drive. She's calling it a food sharing program, but it's a food drive.
I called it food communism in my notes.
It is, or at least it's food socialism.
Yes.
Yeah, where everybody should have the same amount of food so that we can all live longer because we're running out, and people shouldn't have to starve. It's fair, okay? It's a fair thing. And people are like, but what? Why should I be punished for getting food? And she's like, well, that's not what we're doing. We're not punishing you for having food. We're trying to take care of everyone in the town because there isn't enough to go around. But I bought that food. And what you just want? What are my kids gonna eat? The same food. We just want you to just maybe out of the goodness of your heart, give some of it to the people whose children don't have any food, or maybe are old and infirm and don't have food.
This is a bigger political discussion that I suppose we could have at another
It
time.
really, but that's one of the great things about Under the Dome is it inspires all these great philosophical discussions and political discussions,
There it is.
the deep issues.
Like sharing apples.
Like sharing apples, or perhaps sharing young Joe McAllister.
Yes.
Let's talk about these. I wrote on the topic board. I don't think I can repeat it, but the topic that I wrote.
There's an expletive.
There's an expletive. It was just like, God, these blanking kids are stupid. Because here's the thing, Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Who has a girlfriend, for crying out loud, Nori, who has taken care of him so many times, and they've been through so much together. And now, just
and
because...
is arguably one of the most intelligent people under the dome.
Yeah, arguably the most intelligent, okay? The voice of reason, mind you. He just is drawn to this girl because of her brown hair and her milky white face.
And her living as a teenager in the 80s.
And a corpse.
And
just
being a
throwing them
corpse,
back out
he's
there.
attracted to corpses, apparently.
Yeah.
But he's just like, she's going through a rough time. Why can't you just give her, you know...
I'm horny. I just want to make out with everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they take Melanie back to where the mini dome was in hopes, or no, they take her to the edge of the dome so that she can touch it and potentially get some more visions. Now, when Melanie touches the dome, first of all, there's no static shock.
Yeah.
And there's no static shock, there's no visions. She doesn't see anything. Nothing.
My assumption is that, though, is because the static shock was what you got when you first touched the dome. And if she touched the original, like, dome baby...
The little egg in the...
And died from it?
Yeah.
So she's already got the biggest shock she could ever get. There are flies in here.
I mean, it was shocking.
Done.
Yeah. I mean, it could be that. It could be that, you know... I think you're right on about the fact that she's touched the dome before because the dome made her. There's no physiological adjustment to be made, no electromagnetic adjustment to be made. She was born inside the dome, effectively, reborn. Yeah. And everyone's pretty bummed about that, and she's having an identity crisis. Who am I supposed to be? You know, And Nori's like, listen, stop whining. My mom is effing dead. My mom died, okay? So I would give anything to have her back, even you. Which, granted, I will say, a bit harsh. Cruel, in fact. But then Joe calls her a bitch.
Yes.
And runs away. And I'm just like, first of all, terrible example to give to kids and to teens. You don't say bitch. You don't say it. Like, no matter what, there's no reason to reduce someone based on their gender. You can say that was really messed up. You're better than that, and move on. And it really made me.
And she's supposed to be his girlfriend, and he says that to her.
Exactly. And it's a terrible way to show a relationship. And it just shows how little he seems to think about her, which is crazy considering all the stuff that he did for her, like 4 days ago. 3 days ago,
and
2 days ago.
And how he professes his love to her about 10 minutes later in the episode.
We will get to that, okay?
Yes, please.
So he chases after Melanie, and he's like, hey, listen, I don't think you're weird. I see you, basically. And she comes over.
I see you in your purple smock. Oh, she's not wearing that anymore.
And she turns around, she approaches him, she gets all close, lips a quiver, and then I mean, I only watched it the once. I would say they kiss each other, right?
Yes.
It was awkward.
Yeah, they kiss each other. It's not one or the other, but they kiss each other. And then we pan the camera, and Nori's right there.
Dun.
And she's just like, what? And then she and Melanie have a cat fight where she's just like...
I expected better from Nori. I really thought she could
I
put
thought
up a better
she'd rip
fight.
out some chunks of hair.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I was expecting more from that cat fight. I was getting all jazzed up for it when I saw her come for her. I was like, yeah, you come for her.
I would argue even that Melanie won the cat fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, because Nori had blood on her arm.
And then Joe breaks up said fight.
He loved every minute
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
No, keep going. Go ahead.
I
Pull
don't
on each
think
other's
he
clothes.
loves anything. I think that Joe McAllister is perpetually confused by all things. I'm awake? What? I have shoes. What? Grass. Where's my dog? I don't care. Yeah. Where is he? I don't even know.
Truman's with Ben
Where is
somewhere, and
Truman?
I'm
Where's
hoping.
Ben? Where's my best friend?
I'm
I
hoping
guess
that
I don't care.
I'm hoping that maybe Ben was just like getting stoned in the under the ground locker tunnel.
God, I hope so.
And then
Where
we
is
find
he?
him and Truman.
Yeah.
Maybe Ben was actually the first person who found a way out of the dome.
Yeah. See, that's
And
the
we
thing.
just have been underestimating him.
You know what I would have believed more than Joe making out with Melanie over nothing 3 days after they met is just like Joe and Ben finally realized their true feelings for each other.
Yes.
I would have rather seen that. And Truman would have been there by their side, and Nori would have been like, you know what? I get it.
And
I'm not going to.
And then they would start the slow clap.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Scene. Yeah.
So in this cat fight that Joe breaks up, and first of all, never admits to his fault or anything.
Nope.
Is just like, wait a minute, you're bleeding. I have an idea. Joe McAllister. And they go to the high school and prick each other's fingers so that they can compare Melanie's blood to Joe's blood for reasons that we don't get. And they're like, you know who would understand blood because we don't? Rebecca, but she's in jail.
You know, I'm not a scientist, but I'm beginning to question the science on this show.
What?
Do you think that the blood of this resurrected dead person is going to be different than a normal person's blood?
I
Because
mean-
they're both people.
I'm just gonna call it. I think they're related. And then they'll have like a crying game moment where Joe's like, I kiss my sister.
Yeah. I
Why
mean,
else check the blood?
it's
Maybe we'll
possible.
find she's related to Barbie.
Or
Right,
we'll
yeah.
find that
I think
all
that
of her
is
blood
possible.
cells are surrounded by little domes.
They're surrounded by pink stars.
What
What
if?
if?
Oh,
Oh my
my.
Oh,
Oh yeah?
yeah.
Under
The dome. All
This
right.
is like that SNL skit.
All right. So let me just really quickly, I'll talk about iTunes. People, if you like this show, rate us on iTunes. Rate and review the show. It supports AfterBuzz TV, supports us here. It helps us get sponsors and guests. It's really the most important thing, and it's the best way that you can, like if you feel happy about getting all this free content, that you give back a little bit. We'd really appreciate your support. Hope that you do it. Thank you. Okay. So they prick each other's fingers, and Nori is like, oh, you better believe I'm going to prick your finger. And he's like, ow. And then, so later after, and we'll talk about the other plot, but after everything's resolved with the big plot this episode, and everyone's eating like kings in the Sweetbriar, Joe takes a look and he sees Julia and Barbie kissing. He's like, wait a minute. I had love. Yeah, so he grabs Nori by the hand and pulls her into the kitchen, and he's like, and she's like, listen, I don't want to hear any of your crap. He's like, listen, I love you. I don't care about what I did.
I did kiss her though.
I did kiss her, but I love you.
That makes it all right.
Yeah, and she's like, as if, and she storms out, and we all burst into spontaneous applause.
This is
Stood
why
on my
Nori
feet.
is my favorite character under the dome.
Yeah.
Because after being betrayed, she's not like, oh, Schmoopy Joe, I'll give you a hug. She's like, no, screw you, Joe. Bye.
Yeah, Joe, you're an a-hole. You deserve to be alone and dickless. Next time that I get a needle, I'm going to stick it through your dick. Because you deserve it. Exactly.
And they can use that blood to
Nori's
test
gonna
as
go
well.
date Junior now.
Yes.
I want Junior to get
not
some
that
love.
much. He's not that much older than
Have
her.
you noticed on
Yeah.
the four hands? There's so much turmoil now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Ever
want
since
Junior
Angie
to
died.
get some lovin'.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Nori is, since Nori and Junior are my favorite teens under the dome, I'm shipping them.
I have a theory.
Janori.
I have a theory that just
Yes.
occurred to me. So, and we're going to get it. We'll talk about Junior and Sam next because it's going to tie into what I'm about to say.
Love it.
So last week, when we discovered that there was this meteor, there were an original four hands.
Yes.
Okay? Junior's mom, Sam Verdreau, Lyle Chumley, and Melanie.
Melanie.
Yeah. what if the 4 hands that are required to hold up the dome aren't our dumb kids at all, but are the original 4 hands that touched the meteor and started this whole chain reaction in the first place? Because it seems to me that on some level, this dome has come down specifically to have the people of Chester's Mill answer for the crime of this murder, of the murder of Melanie Cross.
What I want to know is how the second dome generation is related to the first dome
Well, we
generation.
know that Junior is related because he is the child of his mother.
And Nori is we never really saw who her dad was, did we?
No.
No,
I
she
mean-
has 2 moms.
Oh my God, it's
But he is
Lyle
mentioned.
Chumley. No, it's not.
I
It's
did
not.
donate sperm.
Lyle never had sex with anyone. What are we
He
crazy?
had sex with Junior's mom.
No, he
Pauline.
didn't. There's no way.
But he loves her.
No.
See, I want to know,
Ew.
I want to know how they're related because I feel why second generation?
Mhm.
Like now that we've set this up where you have dome first generation, dome second generation.
Yeah.
Besides Junior, we can't see the real correlation.
I'm gonna throw a crazy idea out there.
Okay.
What?
Melanie Cross doesn't remember a lot about her past, and like we never met Joe and Angie's parents. What if they were adopted by the McAllisters and they're both teen pregnancy babies from Melanie and he kissed his mom?
Oh my
That's very Back to the Future of you.
God.
Yeah! I'm telling you.
I'm down with this
I'm
prediction.
so down with this
I'm down with
prediction.
I
this
think it's
prediction.
outrageous, but it absolutely
And
could
then
happen.
Lyle
Right.
Chumley is Nori's dad.
Oh!
Because I think we saw, I thought we saw the dad briefly.
Oh yeah, we saw him come to the outside of the
But
dome.
that doesn't mean that they can't, they switch actors all the time. So that doesn't mean that wasn't.
Yeah, but it was like a handsome businessman dude, and then
He
you're
was
switching
handsome.
to Dwight Yoakam, who's inside the dome. I don't know. I'm gonna say no. That's not it.
I'm trying to figure out how they're related.
I don't get it. But so in any case, Sam comes home to the cabin, and
Yes!
and he finds it all torn up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill whoever I find." Hey, Junior, and Junior's like, "Lyle Chumley stole all your stuff," completely ignoring the fact that he was there helping him steal the stuff.
And he keeps just digging and going through everything. You think
Yeah.
he'd be like, well, this is rude. My
He
uncle's
has,
here
and he has
watching
those
me.
pages hidden in
Yeah.
that box in the fireplace.
Yeah, Sam
Yes,
has all
yes.
these hidden pages because he's a scary, creepy murderer. And Junior's like, well, 4 hands. Well, I'm one of the 4 hands. And the other ones are Nori, Joe, and Angie.
Are you writing this down, Uncle
Yeah,
Sam?
I guess since Angie's dead, that the 3 hands remaining, maybe the dome will come down if all 4 of us are dead. So, yeah, okay, let's go. And
dun, dun.
Sam's like, I want the fucking dome to be down. I'm not supposed to say the F word. I'm sorry. I can't believe I just did that.
That was
That's
the
so
best
unprofessional.
moment of the day.
I
That's
want
okay.
this.
I said it the other night on the stream.
I want this dome to be down. Okay, murder. So so we still don't know why Sam killed Angie. I'm gonna put it out there, and maybe you guys talked about this last week, that he was going there to murder Melanie, and it was really dark in that school, so he murdered Angie by accident.
We didn't have a theory because we forgot to talk about the fact that he had the scratches on him indicating that he was the murderer.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So I think he murdered Angie by accident, but now he's got a new plan. Kill all the hands, and then everything will be fine. The dome will come down. Because holding the dome up is a bad thing. I feel like holding the dome up is a good thing, right?
Because the dome's there to protect them.
Right.
But maybe Uncle Sam doesn't realize that, and he obviously has a super deep past with it. Plus, he's a little pissed off now because he found out his sister is alive, who he thought was dead the whole time.
True.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder if he maybe, we'll discover, tried to kill Pauline back in the day, and she didn't tell her own brother she was faking her death because she didn't trust him. So I'm kind of wondering just how evil his
I like
deepness
that. I
goes.
think it's also possible that he's the one who pushed Melanie,
Yeah.
and that's what
Yes.
the whole chain reaction was.
Right. But why would he push her? Oh, big purple scary egg.
I
Like,
want purple egg.
Give to me.
Give me purple egg. I will grow up to be handsome in my 40s.
With
but
good
where
face tan.
But yeah, with lots of tanner, lots of self tanner. Oh, yeah. So after they leave the cabin, they go to Lyle's barber shop. Lyle isn't there. They search all over town for Lyle, but they can't find him.
Did they check where they used to have the fights in the old cement factory?
No, they didn't check the cement factory. The one place we've not gone back
so
to this year is the cement
And the
factory.
cabin.
Right.
And the original cabin.
Yes.
My mistake. So they go back to Big Jim and Junior's house, and Sam's big idea is, well, let's get drunk. And Junior's like, well, wait a minute, Uncle Sam. I mean, you haven't had a drink since the dome come down. Are you sure you want to spoil 17 days of sobriety?
Don't do it.
And he's like, well, I just found out that my sister's alive after I thought she was dead, and all this bad stuff's happening. So yeah, this is my solution.
Junior is the worst sobriety coach ever.
He's terrible.
And Junior's
Also-
like,
And he's
okay.
a lightweight.
Also, do we notice that he is a lightweight? He had 2 shots of vodka. Do we notice that everyone's drinking hard liquor under the dome?
Yeah, no beers.
Yeah. I guess because
beer
the beers
truck,
would be
yeah.
warm, but even like
Skunked.
some red wine you could have kept maybe, but no,
They should be
everyone
making their own 17 days or 12 days or however
everyone
many
just wants to
days.
drink hard liquor under the dome.
I
have a
guess
nice-
so.
They ain't messing around.
They ain't messing around. Well, it's let me read off that list of stuff that happened again. No, I won't.
Junior
And-
gets drunk.
Yeah.
Sam throws away the drink while Junior's not looking.
What
Yeah.
a waste. You can't waste like that under the dome.
Yeah, you might not have vodka soon. Okay, we might run out. Okay,
That's a horrible idea.
horrible,
Who does that?
terrible people. So yeah, so he gets Junior drunk, and Junior's like, you know, I wish. I miss Angie. I wish Lyle Chumley, I'll put a bullet between his eyes after I make him suffer. You're such a good uncle. I love you.
Oh.
And passes out. And then Sam picks up a pillow.
That was the best
And then
shot.
he
He's
ta-
like mid pillow.
Yeah, and then he talks to himself. He talks out loud. He's like, I'm sorry, Junior, but I gotta do this to bring down the dome.
I didn't mean to kill Angie either.
And yeah, I didn't mean
By
to
the
kill
way-
Andrew. Let me admit to the murder of your girlfriend.
Because I'm going to kill
Yeah,
you.
and then Junior wakes up, and he's like, "I love you, Uncle Sam." And I'm just like, he just admitted to the murder. You're not that drunk. Stop it. Oh.
I really wanted Uncle Sam to be like, pillow? Just a bad recovery line.
Yeah.
Hey, you look like
Uncle
you need a prop
Uncle
up.
Sam, why you got pillows? I'll take pillow. Thank you. Yeah, something, anything more than what we got, would be nice. So.
Got his heartstrings tugged on. He couldn't go through with it.
So after Junior wakes up, or so before Junior is woken up by Uncle Sam throwing a bottle of vodka at another mom painting, which, shocker, because Under the Dome is full of shockers, has another painting on the other side.
What?
Shocker. A painting that Mom did not trust in the wrong hands, so she
No.
covered it with paper.
But let
She
Junior
covered
take
it with
to
another
school.
painting and
Yeah.
let Junior take it to school.
That sounds like a good idea.
So Junior's like, wait a minute. That's the same number as the locker that Angie died at.
And there was an obelisk in it.
Yeah, and the obelisk, which I saw in my dream or whatever it was. And then here's my favorite line of the whole episode. Wait a minute. What if we couldn't find Lyle Chumley because he was at the school? We should check the school. And I'm just like, why didn't you think of that before? No, of course you didn't find him because you didn't check where he was.
You forgot that Sam hid those papers, the
Under- and the
missing
barber
papers under
seat.
the barber
Yeah, that was
seat,
pretty
and
Yeah,
then
so that
presented
presented
to
them as
Junior.
Lyle stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they go to the school and they're investigating, which means that Sam is prying open a locker that he shouldn't have access to because he's a killer.
And the handprint is still there, but
still there.
the murder tape is now down and the floors are clean. But let's leave the blood
It's
print.
because Phil
Yeah.
is the best. I
Best
was
sheriff.
Going to say DJ, but no, he's the best
Maybe
sheriff
he
ever.
just liked it.
Yeah.
Reminded him.
Yeah, well, it's
He's
also
too busy cleaning up
Times.
graffiti.
it's so that
He's
we
got
know
time for
which
that.
one it is. It's not like we got the number force fed to
Right.
us several
Leave
times
the
this episode.
handprint, right. 1821. Nope.
1821. So Rebecca's there examining the blood, but before she can make any deductions, she comes out to witness them pry open this locker and discover a magical cavernous wasteland.
Narnia.
Yeah. Okay, before we run out of time.
But a hole that's big enough for a man.
Yeah, before we run out of time. So we got this food drive, and all of a sudden there's an explosion that kills absolutely no one. And a bunch of empty boxes. Barbie, first of all, they're carrying in all these boxes. How do they notice that they're empty only after they're in the room and he picks them up again? He's like, wait a minute.
Barbie just thinks that he's so muscular that giant boxes full of food feel empty.
Let me cut it open to discover that it's empty. Wait a minute. This other box felt empty. It's also empty. I wonder why explosion. And then he saves Julia, and Phil makes it look like this was Julia's plan all along to make us hate Big Jim so she could blow up our food. What? That's the dumbest sounding plan ever, and people buy it because everyone in this town is stupid.
I also like how neither Barbie nor Julia knew how the explosion happened, but Phil's like, oh, well, you left this exposed wire, and this is what happened, and it was electrical.
And Big Jim would never expose a wire.
No.
He was nowhere near the explosion, yet knew exactly how the explosion was happened.
Perhaps proving that Barbie isn't a great sheriff either, because he couldn't connect those dots until he went to Big Jim. And he's like, Big Jim, you blew up this thing. I don't know how you did it because you're in jail. And Big Jim's like, no, I've been here. Ask Rebecca. It could have been Phil. Phil was here. Ask Rebecca. And Rebecca's like, I don't know.
Oh, no, I was sleeping.
I was asleep.
And I also, it's like Phil makes himself look incredibly suspect, but everyone's like, Julia, you suck. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Phil even gave dramatic pause. You would know how evil he was.
Yeah. So Carolyn comes in and discovers this secret room filled with food that somehow is explosion proof. And she's like, hey, that's a lot of food. Where'd all that come from? Phil's like, oh, someone must have moved it. And she's like, no.
Tongue in cheek. He's
no.
just giving it away.
And then he gives her an extra long look.
Yeah.
And she's like, and she runs, and he knocks her down, and he takes her kidnapped, and then...
Takes her kidnapped.
Yeah, and he's got cronies. Barbie comes in with a gun and military training, and he fights the cronies, and he shoots Phil, and we want him to be dead because he's terrible. Okay, I think... Oh, so at the end of the episode, Julia discovers that there's a bunch of food at Andrea's house, and she just didn't want to tell anyone because she didn't want to be robbed. Julia said, I'm not going to tell anyone, but also give everyone all your food. So the food problem's over. Hooray, hooray. Time for more weird special effectsy problems.
I do like, though, that Andrea's husband stockpiled enough food for 3 months, and the food is like
everywhere.
And
all over their house.
So I'm like, this guy had food for 3 months? Like, that's a long time.
And to feed the whole town for 3 months, which means that it would feed their family for maybe like a couple of years.
So, and he said he was preparing for the crisis, so you wonder, maybe he knew.
Yeah.
You guys, hoarders, they turn out to be heroes.
Yeah,
so
partner up with
we
them.
have an impromptu Thanksgiving in June or whenever this show takes place, and everyone's happy, and Joe and Nori are probably broken up, and Julia and Barbie are back together, or, well, they were never broken up, but they were fighting, and now they're not. And they're ruling the town. Hooray, hooray. It's time for predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so if you're the kind of person who considers scenes from next week to be a spoiler, skip over the next 30 seconds when I run down the scenes from next week. The scenes from next week include, apparently, some kind of sandstorm that cannot get through the dome, that might choke us all alive because we need yet another storm. And even in the promo, they framed it as, it's time for the biggest storm yet. Remember these storms? It's time for another storm.
This just got bigger.
Instead of Bloodstorm, we get Sandstorm.
By Darude. It's from Dance Dance Revolution. Okay, so what do we think is going on?
Well, I think that someone is going to get outside the dome because I read the interview from Comic-Con with the Under the Dome panel, And Rachel Lefebvre. Yeah, she said that we would see more people from outside the dome. And then Mike Bogle said that someone might be getting out of the dome.
Which is like a complete about face from what Neil Baer was talking about with us last season when he came on the show. Which means that I guess they have a more aggressive game plan. They've just changed the whole game.
Yeah.
With people getting out and people getting in.
But I think it's because there's only so much we can watch where it's like another storm, another this. It's more interesting to see them explore something they haven't explored yet, because I'm really curious. Now I'm like, you've got my attention. I want to know what is under there, and hopefully it's not just the cement factory where people fight.
I think it's going to be the cement factory, but now there's some kind of creepy dome people living down there. Morlocks or something. Creatures. I'm into that. Carrie, anything?
I'm excited about this magical locker and the under the dome area. And now the question, if people do get out and they do get outside the dome, will they come back? Would people voluntarily come under the dome? And I think at some point too, it'll get sealed off.
I'm into that. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining us. Jackie, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the Strain After Show, which is Sunday nights. And you can find me on Twitter at 123Jackie_B, or on Instagram at 123JackieB, all one word.
And Carrie Long.
Alrighty, guys. You can find me on Twitter. Love to hear from you. It is at Comedia Carrie. That's COMEDIA CARRIE at Comedia Carrie on Twitter.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MatTLieberman. You can also find me on YouTube on SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd. All the videos on there are on YouTube. The Strain with Jackie, bunch of other shows. We'll see you next week. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.